3, 2, 1. All right, we're here. All right, so welcome back to the Shop Class Podcast. We got people joining the room right now as we're hitting record. Tonight's guest is Jay Abitz. Did I say it right?
Abitz.
Abitz. All right. And there's Nick over there, the tech fireman. He's from upstate New York, and Matt just went to dinner, but he'll be back. He's in Illinois. And we got a couple other people that join in. Even a guy from Australia, Damien, comes to visit.
Right on.
Yeah, so what's cool is Jay's a finalist on the first of all, Jay, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, man. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah. So and Nick, how you doing, man?
I'm here.
You're here, yeah.
Couple of weeks that we have to go back.
Oh, right. When do you go back?
We go back before the
yeah, dogs barking. I hear it. So I go back after Labor Day. And basically I'm just finishing up some projects at home. I got a project I'm working on that I got to get done. But the way I found Jay was through the Harbor Freight Tools for Schools finalist list. I'm like a stalker. I literally just found him, you know. Okay, Duke just got here, I think. And what I did was I went down here and I went for let's see, where's the Oh yeah, Duke. What's up, Duke? How you doing? Okay. He's gonna unmute himself, I guess. I don't know where the finalists are. I'm looking for that. Anyway, I went on here and he's a finalist, so I invited him in. And the first question I always ask every guest from now on is, did you have shop class growing up? But you have an extra caveat to that. I think your dad was the shop teacher, right?
Yeah, he sure was. So you could say I had shop class my whole life, I guess. But
and is he in this photo here?
Yeah, he's right next to me there with the gray hair there. That photo was taken for a district video we made a couple of years ago, and that's a number of his former SkillsUSA state champions.
Wow.
So yeah, he goes all the way back to 1972 and started competing in SkillsUSA in collision repair in 1979 or 78, one of those two. And a bunch of those guys, you know, are former state champs, and some of my students as well at that time. So really cool, you know. And those are the guys. When we have a plaque and some things, you know, to memorialize, you know, the achievements that those guys have done, and those are the guys whose names are on that plaque, man. So it was cool getting all them together.
That's awesome, man. And did you take his class?
I did. I kind of took a roundabout way. I certainly, you know, never would have imagined if you asked me in high school if I was going to be a teacher, much less a shop teacher, much less come back to Freedom. 0% chance, but that's just kind of how it worked out. And I was at tech school, you know, just doing auto body and hanging out, not really sure what I wanted to do with my life. And my dad was getting up in years and thinking about retiring. I thought, you know, I could do that. And everybody's like, no, don't do I don't think so. That's maybe not the best. And I said, well, I'm gonna go to you know, the UW and go to the big university and see what's up. And I made it through there for a year, and I thought, well, we're here, we might as well do it. So there we are 15 years later.
That's awesome. And the name of the town is amazing. It's Freedom.
Yep.
There it is right there. And
yeah, we're a little town, about 6,000 people, just outside of Green Bay. So, you know, the Packer traffic literally drives through Freedom. We're like the back roads to Green Bay. So kind of nestled in the middle of the state, full of a bunch of, you know, hardworking, red-blooded Americans.
There you go. That's great, man. What a cool name of town, man.
Absolutely.
Now, yeah. Now, what is the shop? Is the shop part of that school, or do you have to go around back or something? Or?
It is. The shop, of course, is around back, but yeah, we're on that building.
Okay, I got you. So like down in here somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's that little kind of U-shaped back parking lot there to your right on the screen, and that's where we are.
Oh, nice. That's awesome, man. That's good. And you got a whole bunch of space, right?
Well,
like I was looking at these photos.
we make it work. We're about 5,500 square feet. Certainly there's a lot bigger auto shops than ours, but the space works for us. And we've been trying to run a referendum for a couple years, trying to get us some more space and maybe a little bit better layout. It's kind of a weird shape because this school is one that's been added on to a bunch of times. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with old buildings. You just kind of get what you get when they add on. So they added on this shop that we're in 1996. And, my dad obviously was teaching then, and we spent the summer up here. I was scraping paint off the floor, from the old paint booth and, moving stuff around. And so it's always been a near and dear to our heart.
That's awesome. This is in a museum, this car?
Yeah, that's a one-off there. That's worth Googling. That's a Mose Ostentine Opera sedan. And that was built by this crazy guy, Bruce Mose, and he owned a seaplane company and he built a couple of cars, and that was one of them. It's like 28 feet long. I mean, it's the biggest thing you've ever seen in your life.
You guys had it in the shop?
Yeah, we were part of, we actually were partnered up with another school here locally, a friend of a friend who found it, and it's M-O-H-S is Mose there. M-O-H-S. And Bruce built this car, like I said, built a couple of them. And you actually enter from the back. It's like this huge hatchback, just kind of like what a seaplane is. The car was riveted together. But in 1967, and that's a safari car. That's another one of his cars.
Here, we got to go back here.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff in there when you Google images, probably. Yep, there it is.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, it's wild. The seats turned, nitrogen in the tires in 1967.
Wow.
And I mean, just a whole bunch of super creative things.
What is this thing? This is awesome. This is crazy, man. That's great.
Yeah, so that's in and Matt, that I don't know where you are in Illinois, but it might be close to you. That's in Wayne Lansing's museum in Illinois.
Oh, you entered through the back.
Huh, I'm down in the middle state. Is that I wonder if that's up near Chicago or something? I have to look.
I don't remember exactly. I don't think it's too far from Rockford, so certainly still northern Illinois, but
yeah.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah. Super cool.
Here. Whoa, look at this. Yeah, why not?
Right.
And what, it came in for repair or something?
Yeah, so when you saw all those blue pictures, that's the state that it was brought to us in. It'd basically been sitting in storage for, I don't know, 30, 40 years. And they wanted to restore it. Bruce, at the time, was still alive. He was in his late 80s. And so we were commissioned to, put it back together. And so we stripped it and did the body work and painted it that Aztec gold. That's the color that you see on it that was originally on it. But just did a ton of body work and fabrication to bring it back, and spruced up the interior just a hair, just kind of cleaned it up and really left it original. Just really freshened up the outside there. And our friends in Shawano High School was who partnered with us. They did some brakes and some kind of mechanical work, just kind of get it moving and rolling again. But they drove it around to our car show. Drove it about a 50-mile round trip after our car show, so it was pretty cool.
Wow, this is like something else, man. And did it function? Like, you could like walk inside of it? And
yes. So that hatch actually, it opens quite high. I had to duck down a little bit, to get in it. But like I said, the seats swiveled. It was really like an RV in there, you could live inside that thing.
And is it just one off, or this was like a production thing?
I believe there was one of those and 2 safari cars, if I understand and remember correctly.
That's so funny. That's awesome, man. Cool. Yeah, so you keeping the kids like stirring it up. Oh, look at this. They have a model of it.
Yeah, look at that. I'd like one of those.
That would be awesome. Look at this. This is pretty serious. Wow, no kidding. Okay. Wild, man. Now it was like, how did you guys end up with it?
A friend of a friend. So the former automotive teacher at Shawano High School, which is about 30 minutes north of us, went to college with my dad and knew him a little bit. And so when that project kind of popped up, his name's Fred Byron. Fred said, "Hey, Freedom High School will help us, do the paint and body." And
there it is right there.
Yep. And Fred just kind of told us like, "Hey, you guys got to get this thing done." And so I kind of got dragged into it, but man, it was a wild project, and it was, obviously worth doing. Ton of work, hundreds of hours in body work and sheet metal fabrication, but really cool.
Wow. That's exciting, man. It's a good idea to bring, it's funny because I've told people this before is, like I did a conversion from a gas to electric car with a Volkswagen back in 2008, 2009, when it was unpopular to do electric. And, people ask me, is it a good project? And I'm like, not really, but it's great for making a splash, like getting your program, stir it up. The kids get excited, the adults get excited, people in the community get excited. It brings in grant money. It brings in ideas. And, what's good about that is that you really shine the spotlight on shop class, where a lot of shop classes get closed.
Yes.
Something like this could save your program for decades. It could the excitement could last a decade,
And I've gone way too far down that rabbit hole probably. But that's one of the things that I wanted to do when I started teaching. My dad, an absolute legend and a very humble man, never marketed this program at all. And so when I started teaching, I said, there's kids walking the hall in this building that don't know what we're doing. And so we need to not only do a better job in the building, but we need to do a better job in the community and in the greater world, to showcase what these kids can do, how cool it is that they want to do it. Everybody wants to complain about these kids these days that, they don't want to work nothing. They don't want to fix nothing. Well, you just got to get them in the right direction, man.
Yeah.
So, like you're saying, you had a great project there. We've done a lot of, different things. Some have been successful and some have been maybe not so much. But cars, trucks, motorcycles, dirt bikes, four-wheelers, new stuff, old stuff, that's where it's at. So
that's awesome, man. What let's just, maybe we're gonna find something else here. You're doing motorcycles too. That's nice. Got it back on the road. It's kind of like a cafe racer a little bit. Cut the tail. Nice. This is great. And some of these kids bring these bikes in and fix them up.
we do a little bit of everything. We have some what we call program vehicles. So, things that are either donated or someone, that I have that's commissioned us to do a job. Things that stay here for a long time because, we don't do anything fast.
Yeah.
But we also do, especially mechanical repair and smaller things. We do a lot of work on the kids' cars, on staff vehicles, community members. And we're so busy and so full right now. I've been turning away work here for probably 2 years. Just telling people I'm not taking any outside work because we're buried in the stuff that we have. But some of our smaller projects, like in small engines, halfway through the quarter, the kids bring in, stuff from home and that's what they work on. So certainly there's a little bit of their stuff, our stuff, donated stuff, really from a lot of different avenues.
Oh, small engines. That's one of my favorite. It's such a great way to get more kids doing more stuff. Like the car stuff, there's only so many kids that can work on a car. What kind of small engine projects do you do? Is it lawnmower?
So we do, first off, we do the standard Briggs and Stratton, single cylinder engine, take it apart, put it back together, that sort of thing. So that's kind of the first, couple weeks of each course. And again, I'm a huge fan of that because, it teaches the kids engine parts, basic function, that sort of thing. And I really do always value that. I think that will always be a great foundation just for the mechanical, internal combustion engine process. I think that's great. And then, we do try to stick to, I guess I would say, like outdoor equipment. So we're doing, snow blowers and lawnmowers, weed whackers, trimmers, that kind of stuff. But my kids in my community, again, we're a small town and the kids do a lot of outdoor stuff. So dirt bikes, snowmobiles, four-wheelers, motorcycles, side-by-sides, UTVs, that kind of thing. The only time I tell them no is if it's really too big and we just don't have enough time, or if it physically is too big and we don't have enough space. Yeah. So, I run usually 4 different sections of that class. We run that all year, and we'll have, as small as a weed whacker to as large as a UTV or a golf cart.
Okay. So the guys here know that I'm going to ask you what I'm working on a stand to make it easier because of the vertical shaft problem.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And it sits on the table and it goes like that, or it vibrates or whatever. What do you do? Are you using the greenie stand, the one that they sell you?
Nope. I use a welding table, like a Miller welding bench. That's well, first off, we have a horizontal shaft, but it's got a hole in the middle, so you could stick that vertical shaft in the hole, and then we bolt it to the table.
Right.
So, and then if I win the Harbor Freight grant, what I'd like to do is buy the $50 rolling tool cart and mount them right to the tool cart.
Yeah, gotcha. Damien.
He'll have to spend the money on you, Ron.
When I was doing small motors at my last school, because of the shaft going down, I got a piece of basically 4-inch pipe or tube, welded some pieces on the outside that would line up with the bolt holes for the mower, so I could bolt onto that, and then I just stand the 4-inch tube into a vise. It wasn't going to go anywhere, and they could just work around the top of it.
Great idea.
I just heard the other day that this guy used old school. It was a wood spindle that had wire in it, for copper wire, but it was big, like back in the day.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then he would put it in there and drill the holes right in it and then clamp the thing. My stand's going to give you a couple of more advantages. I don't want to give away too much yet. But yeah, I think you're going to like it. I think it sounds like you're going to like it. It gives you a couple more options, and it takes care of vibration dampening and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so this is very cool. Yeah, I do the small engine too. I think the small engine is underrated. It's a great project. And then if you had a dyno for small engines, you really could tune it, or at least get a baseline. Like I have this one, we have a dyno. It's overpriced. It's like 10 grand. From I forget what they call themselves. Anyway, it's a water brake, and the kids couldn't believe that you could measure it. They just didn't even know. But what it does is it gives them a chance to think about why, what affects the engine, how much fuel they're actually using, if they've got a bottle that has graduated, lines on it, stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's see. Now, also the big thing is that you go to SEMA, right? And you compete.
Yeah, have been. It just kind of happened. One of the first vehicles we had donated to us was an '85 Toyota 4Runner, and we have a friend. His name's Rick Pollock, and he used to run a really big indoor car show up in Green Bay, and it was the largest one in the state. And about 2015 or so, we had a couple of cars that we had finished, and we just wanted to be in the show, and I didn't want to pay his $50 registration. So I begged, borrowed, and pleaded my way into the show, and we ended up trading some labor. We had some volunteers, working for his show, and so we built a little bit of a relationship there. And a couple of years later, Rick just up and buys this 4Runner and donates it to us on the last day of the show. And it was rusty. It's been in Wisconsin its whole life, and he says, we should build this, and then you guys can raffle it. And I said, okay, I mean, that sounds great, but I've never done, Toyota off-road kind of stuff. So we're going to need some help. And Rick himself came in and brought some friends. And the long and short of it is we got a ton of parts donated. Toys for Truck is a local supplier. Had a bunch of just cool off-road stuff, wheels and winch and all this. And when we got closer to the end of the school year, the kids kind of came up with it and said, wouldn't it be cool to go to SEMA? And I said, well, sure. I mean, that's always been a pipe dream of mine, check the box. And Wouldn't you know it, we had one of our biggest supporters, which is Sherwin-Williams Automotive Paint. They actually offered to, submit it as a show vehicle, and it was approved. And so in I think that was 2017, was the first year that we took a vehicle to SEMA. And so we got to show it, made a bunch more, industry connections and things like that, and then ended up raffling it off in the spring,
Wow.
to raise the money for the program. So
That's awesome. Now, just so if anybody out there, doesn't know what SEMA is, I'll just give you, I went right before the pandemic, and I'll just give you a quick overview. This is the kind of stuff you'll see, like 3 supercharger, can't see out the window, just madness.
Yeah.
It's all aftermarket products, even from the OEM. So anything to hot rod your car, crazy paint jobs, just the most wild things you could. If it's wild, it's there.
yeah.
If it's wild and you can buy it, it's there, including front engine Lamborghinis, Hot Wheel cars. They got the Hot Wheel cars there, the actual Hot Wheel cars.
Yep.
Just mind blowing stuff. Off-road trucks with treads on them, and just like it's like a dream come true. It's like, whoa, my God. Even the compressor, like this is an air compressor, and they customized it. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta understand, like, what the level of detail. And I'm just giving a tour here, and it's like, oh my God. So if you go to SEMA, you're gonna see like, and they got the techie stuff like benders that use magnets, all kinds of stuff. So you see the equipment manufacturers, and then you could try out stuff. We did some welding, yes. And it's free for educators. So if you're a shop teacher and you want to go to SEMA, it's free. You just got
and you want to go.
Yeah, you're not gonna regret it, and you just got to pay your way. Oh, there we go, welding in there. I was just trying out some different techniques. So, do you have any pictures of that truck you took there?
So you saw the 51 Chevy, which was our blaster. That's the vehicle we took to SEMA in 2018. That was our second SEMA build. The 4Runner is red. So right there, that's our second SEMA build. That's a 51 Chevy 5-window coupe.
That's awesome.
And those are SEMA pictures. That's in the parking lot at SEMA.
I like the patina, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a scuff and clear. We did put some new metal on that, so we had to blend in our new paint onto old paint and stuff. But we're pretty tricky that way.
Yeah, this is awesome.
You can see Blaster stepped up and sponsored us for that trip. They've been an awesome supporter of us over the years too. I mean, they pretty much foot the whole bill to get us to SEMA that year, and that's a hefty price. So they're awesome. They send us product and really take really good care of us. There's my 4 guys. Those are my best kids. Those kids built both of the SEMA vehicles back to back. So we took them as juniors with the 4Runner and as seniors with the 51 Chevy. And those 4 guys, I couldn't even imagine the 2,000 plus hours outside of school that they put in to make those 2 things happen.
Oh yeah, PV Blaster. I know that stuff.
Yep.
Man, that's amazing. What a cool thing. Like, you see, that's the thing about the shop class. Like, there's such good camaraderie, Like, I remember any kid that built something with me at a shop, we stay in touch, and, a lot of them, I'm friends with them to this day. That's something that's overlooked, I mean, they got the school. The idea is that the school is like, it ends right there. But how could it? Like,
right.
You had an experience. You guys went on an adventure. You pulled through. You got the truck ready. That's really cool. That's really cool. You got some build photos here of this is at SEMA. There you go. Great. Some of these cars are just look at this thing. Like, what is this? Oh my God. And what year was that one?
I'm going to say that was 2018.
All right. Oh, I saw that. Oh, We went somewhere else. I don't know where I went. Anyway, yeah, that's really cool. And let's see some of the build photo. Oh, this is you guys putting it together.
Yep, that's post paint assembly right there.
Oh, very cool. So do you okay? So to make this work, let's be realistic here. To make this work, you got to do after school hours, right? You got a club.
We do, you know, and we go back and forth on that. We meet, you know, pretty much all year round, after school in the summer, whatever. Our typical schedule is, you know, once a week or twice a month, after school, 6 to 10, that sort of thing, where we're, you know, hanging out in the shop and building cars and doing cool stuff. When we've gotten into these SEMA builds, you know, the first one we started, I mean, we worked on it all school year, and then we got the bid to go to SEMA every day from July 5th until October 30th. We worked every day, except for Sundays. So
We worked all summer on it.
Oh yeah, all summer. We put the time in. That was crazy. And Mrs. Abitz said, if I do that again, I'm going to be living outside the house. So, so we got to try to dial her back a little bit on that stuff. But
that's funny.
This year, you know, we have, because we still have 2 builds that we're trying to complete. We're going to end up probably twice a month, 6 to 10. And then we're working on this stuff all day throughout the day in school as well. So, you know, we're working, I can't even imagine, still probably 60 hours a week, touching those cars. So,
yeah, I had to do, we basically just never left when I did these projects.
Yeah.
We got kicked out by the janitors and, you know, pushed that timeline as well. And we just, I remember I bought bulk items like peanut butter in bulk and bread and, you know, and jelly, and just feed the kids. You just got to feed them.
Yeah. If you feed them, they will come.
Yeah. It's like Field of Dreams. Yeah. Field of Kids.
Yeah.
High school shop kids. They're amazing, you know, and it's such a cool thing. What a great opportunity, you know, for everyone involved. That's great, man. That is cool. Now let's see. Oh, I found your name on the here. This is how I stalked him down. And if anybody, you know, this is the funny thing about it. If anybody's listening to this, let's say a supplier gets a hold of this, or, you know, or some automotive company, they really should reach out to the finalists, because anybody on this list is probably qualified to advise them on, you know, how to market their product, or how to get it into the schools, or how to get kids excited about using their products, you know? So like this is like, it's not just the prize, but it's the knowledge that's in this list. It's unbelievable what's on here, you know? So that's why I can't, you know, I've been reaching out to all these people on here. We got a few people that call back. And, you know, but I'm glad you said yes to this. This is great. So that's cool. And let's see. We got the SEMA thing. Now, what's this here? You applied for a grant?
I'm going to say that's probably Collision Repair Education Foundation. That foundation, now I saw you doing the welding booth at SEMA with the iCar group. They used to be the same. They've moved on to their own oh, there's the Forerunner right there.
Oh, yeah.
Really, before we got very far, that's the original Forerunner right there. So
that's great.
Came a long ways. But the Collision Repair Education Foundation is an organization that really supports collision repair at the high school and post-secondary level. So they have a ton of industry connections, a lot of really big-time sponsors, like I said, like 3M and Sherwin-Williams. And they supply, like those work shirts that you see there, but they supply us with tools and materials and equipment, continuing education and training for myself and my students. But they've built, for me personally, so many industry connections that have paid dividends that I could never even list. My dad works for NASCAR and has for many years, you know, so we got a little NASCAR vibe in us. You know, and those guys can rattle off, I want to thank Coca-Cola and Don Chevy and so on and so forth. But if I start down that road of thanking everybody that supports me, we're going to be here longer than you want. So we have a long list of industry supporters that take care of us. But CREF really built that bridge for us. and put us into contact with people that want to help us and grow our program.
That's awesome. Now, you said CREFT?
Yeah, Collision Repair Education Foundation.
Oh, I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah, anybody that's doing any kind of collision repair or auto body or restoration or any of that, if they're not hooked up with the Collision Repair Education Foundation, you got to get on that for sure. CREF.
Oh. The wrong one. I'll find it. This is cool, man. You got a lot of I think you got a good program, obviously, but you got a lot of like projects and whatnot. I really like those Camaro transformations.
Yeah, we got into Camaros. You know, my dad was a stock car racer, you know, for, I don't know, 20 plus years. And, you know, he was racing in the 70s and early 80s, you know, when those were the stock cars. And so we've always kind of had a soft spot for those second gen Camaros. And long story short, we bought a bunch of them. And so we used a lot of those cars. And some of those cars that you saw pictured there were student cars too. But this program has probably done, I don't even know, maybe 8 or 10 second gen Camaros. And some of those came from, there you go, there's the foundation. Some of those came, you know, from my dad, and cars that, you know, we built and sold, and cars that were privately owned and cars that were student owned. But we really were kind of Camaro University or Camaro High for a while there, because we really did a bunch of them and got super familiar with them and did some really cool stuff with them too.
That's awesome. I got to send this episode to my buddy Manny. He's got what generation is it with the curvy body?
So
I saw in the photo.
Yeah, so that's second gen. So second gen is 1970 to 1981. So the super cool split bumpers, those are early second gen, 70, 73. And then, you know, once you get past 81, then you get third gen, which is like the IROCs, you know, the mullet kings, which, by the way, I have one of those too, is super killer. You got to do IROCs, man. I got a little bit of mullet going.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It goes good with the IROC.
That's awesome. Yeah, my friend's got the second gen, and he put a crazy motor in there. I don't even know what he had in there, but he souped it up back in the day. It's in storage now, and then he just got a third gen, and he's doing all kinds of stuff to it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, he would appreciate that. This is awesome, man. And what about that Toyota? What a cool, you know, is that the Back to the Future Toyota pickup?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I think that's what they had. Well, no, they had a legit pickup, and ours is a 4Runner, so I guess it's a little bit different. But the back comes off of that thing. You go topless, it's basically the same vehicle. But man, you know, a rusty Toyota in Wisconsin requires a lot of fabrication to make that thing right. I'll tell you that right now. We did a lot of metal work, a lot of welding, and then some, you know, body work on top of that. So
I see you got here the bowling pin. That's like a painting, kind of like a small project, right?
Yeah, and they do that again for the foundation there, for the Collision Repair Education Foundation. They actually get the used bowling pins, and then the students paint them, and they use them as awards and kind of, you know, desk plaques for donators and you know, people that support the foundation. So we've done a bunch of those over the years. You can see right here, you know, a couple of kids that finished them up there. And for us, it's a cool project. I let a lot of underclassmen do it because, you know, you're doing body work, you're, you know, using filler, and then you're priming it and painting it and then custom painting it. So there's a lot of useful practice and skills in what we're doing there too. So
do you do any pinstriping?
We do. A lot of those bowling pins are pinstriped, you know, and that comes down a lot of times to the artistic ability of the student. Me personally, I can barely draw a stick figure. So when I got to get creative, I've got to use, you know, I use stencils and fine line tape, and I'll even use, you know, the vinyl cutter to cut a stencil or do some things. So I'm pretty creative and pretty successful doing things that way, and I can fool it and fake it pretty well. So I teach the kids to do it that way too. Hey man, if you're not artistic, this is how I do it. And so we get away with it.
That's cool, man. That's cool. You know, I've never tried it, but I always want. I got a friend of mine that does it. It's unbelievable. It makes everything look just so much better. And then sometimes people, you could work on the tools and stuff. Is this a demonstration?
Yeah, we have a lot of people. One of the most important things that I share with my kids on a regular basis is I'm not a guy that's going to BS you and tell you, I know how to do something when I don't, or I don't know the answer, and so I'm very honest with them. When I don't know something, we're going to find somebody that does. And so I bring a lot of people in with, different skill sets and different backgrounds. And this gentleman here, this is Dave Byron. And Dave Byron is probably one of the best sheet metal fabricators in the nation. If he wasn't so darn humble, he'd be on TV too. And he's done a lot of different things in the industry. He's owned his own shop and worked on his own. And right now he's getting paid a handsome dollar to sublet for a number of shops in the area. And, he's hand building coach built one-off cars. One business that he works for, and I'm not going to mention their name because they're kind of one of those shops that's on the low. They do Ferraris and Porsches, and everything starts at, $350,000. And so Dave can, literally hand build and fabricate, fenders and doors and things out of flat sheet metal. And so we've done a lot of metalworking in our projects and in our restorations. We're making parts and we're fabricating pieces. And, I can do a little bit of that myself, but Dave takes it to a whole new level. And so I've learned so much from him, and he's a very meticulous guy. So even right now we're working on a 75 C10, and Dave's kind of taken charge of that project with the kids in our auto club nights. And, when we're fitting doors, I've been fitting doors since I was a kid, and Dave will fit it better than I will, because he'll spend that extra 5-10 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour or whatever it takes. And so he's great with the kids. He's such a gift to our program. Yeah, there's Dave running a power hammer there. And the man can make anything. And so the kids literally just standing and talking to him is a gift that I could never provide for them. So we're so fortunate to have him as a friend of our program.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I do a little bit of sheet metal work, and with the kids, we do dustpans and whatnot. Nothing too exciting.
Yep.
But sheet metal is cool because it's not just bending. You can also thin the metal, which will give you like a compound curve.
Yes.
And then that comes down to shaping, and then you can actually hammer and dolly.
Yes. Yes. Well, and we, obviously we do collision repair. We still do real dent repair and metal work. We're not just replacing late models with, new panels and new fenders and things like that. We still fix dents. We still use body hammers and dollies and tools that are repairing stuff by hand. And so those sheet metal skills, that Dave takes to another level, when you talk about bumping sheet metal and compound curves, like you described, shrinking and stretching and things like that, that makes my students understand how metal moves better and understands malleability and yield points. And so our dent repair then improves, and our body work improves, and our welding improves. And so, that's a skill set that carries on and on.
Yeah. Yeah. The kids don't, it's surprising, they don't realize that metal is kind of like this movable thing, and you can, and then when you liquefy it, when you weld it or you heat it and cool it, there's different levels of hardness, so there's a lot to it. I always ask the kids, how come the steel file can cut steel? Like, how can you cut steel with steel?
Yeah.
How do you cut butter? I always say, how do you cut butter with butter? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, one of the butters has to be harder, so you could be either colder or a different compound of butter, so
yeah,
like, how would you do that, so different carbon rates and whatnot. And the kids always, when they don't know, they take the file and they're like banging on the table, and I'm like, okay, that's gonna break like chalk. And, you just don't realize. So this is what an exciting program. I wish I was in your school. It's like amazing.
I got a Model A that they can work on.
Oh,
Yeah, I would love to add a Model A to the fleet. That's on my list of things to do yet.
Well, no. You can work on it for me, and you can give it back to me. I have one that needs body work and painting.
Well, I thought it's a Woody. Aren't you going to do the body work? Timmy's a woodworker.
No, I have another car.
Oh, okay.
I have another car in hiding. So
I see.
it's been sitting for a couple years, and it needs it needs some love. And I've called a couple schools around my area and asking them if they want to do, like, if they would do it. I would loan it to them to let them do the work and let the kids learn on it. And a couple kids said yeah, a couple schools said yeah, but it ended up being one of those where they're like, we can't because of this. We're working on this project right now.
Well, for free, Timmy, you got to give them some sponsorship, some money. Come on.
Well, yeah, but it's one of those. I reached out to see if I could get a school to use it as a teaching aid to restore an old car, but
yeah,
it was. Then one guy said, yeah, they would do it, but they brought a Ferrari in and the kids butchered it. So
it takes a lot of work. The teachers got to, like some people ask me like, oh, do you want this car? I used to take cars all the time. Now I'm like, not so much. You got to be real careful about your time and space in the shop,
Jay, do you have any other shop classes?
Say that again.
In school, do you have any other shop classes like wood shop?
Yeah, we have a full metal shop and wood shop. Again, our school is small and our shops are small, but for what we have, we're pretty well equipped. And so most of my kids do take the woods classes and the metals classes as well. So the wood shop is pretty standard old school, wood shop stuff, nothing too crazy there. I mean, we've added, laser engravers and stuff like that, but we still got lathes and just basic, power tools and machine tools. In the metal shop, we do, multiple types of welding. We still have a forge and a foundry, although we're not using them as much. We're kind of looking to update that stuff because it's bordering on the lines of maybe unsafe. So we'd like to get some newer equipment, but over the years, we've always done forge and foundry. We have a CNC and some lathes and mills and things like that. So doing some machining and welding, and then, we overlap. Obviously with my auto program doing what we're doing, we use the wood shop and we use the metal shop and the machine shop, and we're making parts and fabbing stuff all the time. So we certainly need those two other shops as well.
That's awesome.
How about Dad? Does he come around every once in a while? Keep an
eye
on
things? Oh yeah, Dad used to check on us quite a bit. Now it's a little bit more of an occasion when he pops in. But he used to check on us quite frequently. And I even got him to sub for me for a couple of years anyways. But my dad's 75, still in good health and good shape and stuff. But he gets around, and he teaches a night school as well. So he's in the building. He teaches an adult night class through the local tech school. So he's still very familiar, to our program and still certainly a part of it. So we're blessed to have him. We live, again, this is a very small town. I live about 1.5 miles from school, and my dad lives, 4 miles down the road. So he's right there when we need him.
That's great, man. That's the way to go. Yeah, it's great to see you're invested. You're doing it, and I like that you're open to showing the shop and getting people involved and whatnot. Early on with the internet, a lot of teachers, especially shop teachers, were like slow to adapt to social media and sharing of projects. And I was like, man, that is the best tool. Finally, a way to communicate with other shop teachers without having to deal with like the bureaucracy, So we jumped on the Instagram early, and then this show is like a result of shop teachers, talking to each other over the internet. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you've built a really cool community. This is a good thing you got going. You're making an impact for sure.
Oh yeah, no, thanks. And everybody here has helped out. These guys that are regulars. Matt's doing the newsletter. It's pretty amazing. Now, do you think you want to give us like a quick tour?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. This is a bonus.
Yeah, no, totally. I also picked this location because it would be more quiet. So let me, I'm going to mute my first screen here. We'll switch it over.
Okay. This is cool. While he's getting ready, Damien, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
Okay.
Still here.
Yeah. Jay, flip your phone like horizontal. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Cool.
All right. So I'll try to
Those desks.
move in some small, oh, hang on. Let me mute this other screen.
Yeah. Those desks look like dominoes. Someone can
Yeah,
put them all
there.
over.
No, I don't have an echo.
You guys have in
I will
Illinois.
try to move, small moves here once we get settled. But I'll just start you right here because I'm in my classroom. Nothing fancy here. We do have a little bit of technology, but it's hidden. So we in the summer here, get pretty shut down as far as maintenance has got to do some things. You see, they did my wax floor here and stuff. But we spend probably 30% of our time, maybe 40% in the classroom. I stand up and teach, and we're using mostly web-based curriculum, not standard textbooks, but, teaching from a platform that is web-based. Even pre-COVID there, I was always trying to use technology. So like you say, so many people were resistant to change and stuff. And I really wanted to, make that a part of my curriculum right away. So you can kind of see a couple of the former SEMA signs here. We try to promote, the things we've done in the past. Got a little, wall of fame of some, previous vehicles we've done. This is the plaque. I'll show you that. This is kind of the SkillsUSA memorial. And so, my dad's first state champion was in 1979, Gary Bulk, and he's my neighbor, actually. I like that guy. But, he ended up with 19 state champions in his, 30 plus years. So he won a lot. And SkillsUSA made a huge impact for us as we're getting launched here, because Skills was one of the first things to really set a network for us and create, some bridges to industry of people that wanted to support us and, donate tools and products and equipment. So SkillsUSA has been and always will be a really big part of what we do here. So we take that state competition and the national competition really serious. And actually this year we had a national champion. So Luke Murphy, who's a junior this year, won the SkillsUSA Collision Repair National Championship. That's the first one we've ever won. First one for the state of Wisconsin at the high school level, and we're really proud of him.
Nice. This is awesome. Yeah, I think competitions. I was late to the game doing that. Now I do a Shell Eco Marathon. But I think if you're a shop teacher, it helps to be part of a competition. You don't have to do it all the time, but it does help because it brings the spotlight.
Absolutely. So here's my spotlight. This is just outside in the hall here. These are all the magazines that we've been featured in my tenure here in the last 15 years. So I'm not going to run you down the whole hall here, but this goes into the marketing of our program, even just within the building. The kids need to see that we're proud of what we're doing. We're proud of what they can do. And, what we do is special. And that's not, just saying like what I do is special, but what the kids do, what you guys do in your programs is special. It's better than English and math and science. And I don't care what anybody says about that. That's the facts.
How dare you?
My kids go out in the world and use these skills to, benefit themselves in the future. They go out into the real world and, not all my kids, very few of my kids go into the automotive industry. They go out and do all kinds of other trades and have successful careers, but they use many of the skill sets that I teach them in those, in those jobs and in those future life pursuits. So again, highlighting what they do and marketing our program, that's a big goal of mine since I started and will continue to be. So
nice. Yeah, thank you. I agree. Obviously, I'm biased, but the English classes, I don't think they're doing enough application. If they wrote books and published the books, that would be interesting. And the math classes, if the math classes solved real world problems instead of just math problems, then I would be more excited about it. I just don't understand what the other classes are doing. I think they should do more application, real application. That's really what that's what a shop class is.
Absolutely. How about I just take you for a lap here? I'll take a deep breath and I'll just show you all the stuff. And then if you guys want to circle back to anything, maybe
go for it.
Do you have a vending machine?
I got banned, actually. That's one of the first things I wanted to put in, but somebody else is making money on one of those things, so they told me I couldn't.
There was a guy that we had, I don't remember where he was. He had a vending machine, and he had safety glasses and welding gloves and, MIG sticks and all types of stuff in there, meat sticks, and what else did he have in there, guys? Sharpies,
pencils.
Yeah, all types of stuff right in the shop.
And Dartmouth does that in their shop for their engineering kids. They have duct tape and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right.
A lot of there's a ton of, we do a lot of fabrication in our state. There's a lot of manufacturing and weld shops and fab shops, and Pierce and Oshkosh Truck or Oshkosh Defense are about 20 minutes from us. We used to say half the town of Freedom works for Pierce, Oshkosh Truck, or Miller Electric, all of which are in Appleton, about 20 minutes from us. And so, they're making all the fire trucks and all the military vehicles.
I was there. I was at Pierce.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Those shops all do that vending machine style, and that's how, so they put an RF tag on it, and then that's how they, bill it to the job, is those guys go over, punch it in the vending machine. This roll of masking tape is going to job number 1. And I saw that and I was like, oh man, I need that in school. Just like you say, for freaking safety glasses for the 5th kid today that lost his safety glasses. So that's still on my list, because I'd like to at least do, those, we'll call those consumables in the shop.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right. I'll take you through here quick. First, I know you're staring at the Oldsmobile here. So this is a good project. This is a 37 Oldsmobile, also a Wisconsin car. But you can see we've built a chassis for this. So speaking of Camaro love, it's got a 2nd-gen Camaro stub in it. And then we built a tubular chassis off of that, have a 4-link in the back and S10 rear end with disc brakes. So I have disc brakes all the way around. And this will also, obviously we got to build it from the ground up here. So we've got all this stuff, and it's a rolling chassis now. That's kind of the point we left off at this year. And then next year, or this coming year, I guess next week, we'll start building the floor. And we're hoping to have an engine transmission in it this year, and maybe let that be at least a roller, something that moves by the end of the year. This car actually, you got to have those inside connections, Tim. That's what you need to get something done here. But this one's my dad's. So we're gonna put this one together for him. He's got to pay for some stuff, so we're gonna write him a bill. But this car, it could take us, I don't know, 5 more years. So you got to work on my timeline too. But you can see the stance. It's low, it's mean, and it's pretty cool. So this back area here, this is kind of the back half of my shop. Again, it's not very big. So this is where we store stuff. And then we also use our small engines area. So during a small engines class, this is just full of small engines projects. And you can see, a couple motorcycles laying around and a moped, never in short supply of a small engines project. And we have some storage. And then I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with hydrographics or hydro dipping. Really big hydrographics tank, and we bought that, kind of made a deal with a friend and made a trade and blah blah blah, and we probably still owe him some money, but we've added some hydro dip to our refinishing process. So when you do hydrographics, you end up going through the entire paint process anyways, because that has to have a base coat underneath and a clear coat on top. So just seemed like a good fit. it's one of those things, definitely not profitable for us, costs us probably way more money than it'll ever be worth, but it's cool. That's what it's all about. So it's
That
a
is
cool addition to what we do. And we've already done hydro dip for, a number of our car projects and things like that. So really neat addition to our project here. So this is our paint booth. We've had a paint booth since 1972. Obviously, this is not the one we had in 72. One of my first goals when I started was to get a new paint booth. And so we got this one in 2015. I raised all the money for it and, wrote some grants and things like that. You can see the Hagerty Education, which is now the RPM Foundation. And they actually gave us $10,000 for this booth, wrote a grant and got that going. So we spray Sherwin-Williams automotive finishes here, and they actually donate a water-based paint mixing system. So that's what you see here. So we can mix any color in the rainbow, any vehicle. I mean, going as far back as you can get a paint code, we can mix that color. So we do a lot of, fancy tri-coats and pearl coats. And then, as simple as they come as well, black and white. So, but black is not black and white is not white, just so we're clear.
I've spoke to the RPM foundation before. They're cool. They support craftsmanship and restoration and whatnot. That's great.
Yes, absolutely. There's a handful of the people involved in that. Nick Ellis is pretty close to us. And Nick's just a great guy. He'll just call me up out of the blue and say, "Hey, Jay, how's it going? What can we do for you this year?" That kind of thing. And again, that's what you and I are talking about here. Just the, making those industry connections to people that want to help us, because all of us in this education game, there are people that want to help us. We have to ask, and we have to know how to ask. And then we have to convince these people that they really have what we need, So the booth, again, midsummer storage here, but you can see the remnants of our Jeep. This is our current build. And this one, it was slated to go to SEMA this year, and we really just flat ran out of time. So we're hoping, that we're going to take it maybe to another show, something bigger, certainly out of state. We'll still travel with the kids and go somewhere. But this one we've been working on for a couple of years. We got this vehicle donated as well. You can see, we got all these parts that are fresh out of paint. Got an AMC 360. We did not build this engine. We had this built locally. Obviously, we're doing the final assembly and things like that. But the electrical and mechanical is in pretty good shape on this particular vehicle. Obviously, the paint and body is all done. So we're doing a little bit of final wiring and then, basically just final assembly on this vehicle. So we actually got this as a bushel basket. 3 different Jeeps, piled together. So we're putting it together, but we're finding we're missing some stuff. So
Gotcha.
A couple more motorcycles here. This is mine. I rode this here today. So
Nice.
I didn't clean it, so don't judge me. But this is a custom mixed color that we made here at school too. So I do occasionally paint my own stuff. That's not, don't hold that against me either. Yeah, it's not the Harley denim. This is a custom color, so it's cool.
Is it a flat color though, like similar to the denim?
It is. I like all my colors satin. So we do spray a base coat, clear coat. So there's a satin clear that I use. Sherwin-Williams makes a really nice one, and then I actually use another brand too as well. But this is a Sherwin-Williams base coat with a Sherwin-Williams flat clear or matte clear. So yeah, super cool. We've done flat gray and flat blue and flat black, and I love all that stuff. And actually the 4Runner that we took to SEMA was a flat red. So I like everything flat, but everybody tells me that I got to paint these cars shiny. So we're in dispute on that one.
You had some extras, so you threw it on the helmet.
Oh, absolutely. Every time I paint a motorcycle, got to have a helmet to match. That's just how I roll. So this is a 2015 Passat that this donation came through the Collision Repair Education Foundation. So some schools that get these vehicles donated build them and sell them. We're actually going to repair this vehicle and just keep it. So I've never had a donated vehicle that I kept, but I'm finding that a lot of my more intro level learners are not comfortable necessarily working on their own cars. And so, they need a shop vehicle to work on. They need something to change oil and rotate tires and change spark plugs. And one of the things that I've learned over the years too is doing this stuff in a hurry, on the clock really sucks. That's stressful. And so, doing live work, when the bell's going to ring, that's probably taking years off my life. So,
Oh my God, I know what you mean.
so when I have a kid that, wants to do 6 spark plugs or something like that, or again, even just simply doing a tire rotation, to really do a tire rotation right and use anti-seize and torque specs, it takes some time. And so, this vehicle, it does have some collision damage. It looks good from this side, but it does in fact have some collision damage. This will be a great project for our collision classes. It's like I said, it's a 2015, so we're going to do some late model collision, going to replace some parts, going to repair some parts. We don't get to do a lot of work like this that's live, where we're really doing, obviously like these two. This is going to get a new door probably, so we're going to gut this door and take the electronics out of it and swap it over to the new door, probably a used door. So really going to get into what real collision repair is, like they do in shops today. And so we don't always get to do a lot of late model stuff. So this is going to be a really good opportunity for that. And then once we get it finished up and it runs and drives and does all the things and looks like it should, then like I said, we're just going to hang on to it for, maybe 3-4 years. And, the foundation will happily get me another car when I'm done with this one. So we are not going to sell this. Our school district's not high on that whole build and sell thing. So we will probably use it for the extent of its life, or once that 2015 is, too old, whenever that time comes, when it's really no longer late model, and then we'll probably sadly crush it. But
Yeah.
that's that.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, this is good stuff. Especially with the hot rod projects are cool, but the new projects have like a CAN bus and OBD2 and maybe some even hybrid stuff. So, some of the kids get exposure to that. I'm actually starting to get into CAN bus, and I've been doing electrics, but it was more like a hot rod electric. Now
Sure.
I want to get into OEM electric a little bit, probably at the small level. Like, believe it or not, I think the drones are actually CAN bus, but these things are the cars are becoming computers. But
Yeah.
some of the hot rod stuff is from they'll take a Tesla motor and put it in the hot rods, and then they're using CAN bus to talk to it. So these are like the CAN bus thing is really becoming important to learn.
Absolutely. And that's really how I feel too. I can get myself personally, because I love old stuff, so I can get pigeonholed into that. And, we rely on what the kids are driving and needing to repair and maintain to do a lot of our live work on the late model stuff. But like I said, it's going to be nice just to have one here, that we can really get into. And our kids, in this community, I'll have a kid roll in a 2020 Silverado, that'll pull in to do an oil change. So we certainly can have some of that stuff. But like you say, the old stuff is great, but we're doing them a disservice if we're not doing late model technologies. So in our automotive classes, we're doing basic maintenance and light repair. So we do plenty of, trouble code diagnostics and things like that. But like you say, to dive a little bit deeper, something like our Passat there is going to give us an opportunity to do that and not be on a time crunch too. So I value that. Absolutely. So this sadly, this is the end of my shop. There's the garage door. So it's 5,500 square feet. When you got a paint booth, doesn't get very far. So this is, we only have one hoist here. We have one lift, and I've considered, some portable ones and things like that. But again, space is just such a premium for us here. But we have one lift, and we use it all the time, every day, obviously. And now you can see our 75 C10 here. This one was locally donated as well, and we've done a ton of metal fab on this thing. We actually kind of back-halved the cab, took one cab and cut it in half and used another one and put it together. And so it has original floor fans and rockers and stuff in it, but it's rust free. So that's a major accomplishment in the state of Wisconsin. And then you can see the new sheet metal from LMC Truck. LMC built a relationship with us a couple of years ago. So when we got this one, I called them up and they were gracious enough to donate, I don't know, $3,000-$4,000 worth of parts on this particular build. So this one's got air ride. You can see it sits pretty low the way it is right now, but we've got airbag suspension, 4-link in the back with a fuel cell, and we've just blown this apart. I wish this was 2 weeks ago. You could have seen what it looks like assembled, but we're actually getting ready to disassemble it and paint the frame, and then we're going to jam the body. The body work is done enough to the point where we can jam it and then reassemble the body, finish the body work, and then we'll paint it up. So the highlight of this build, obviously it's got a ton of fabrication in it, which is really cool. You know, when we're building suspension, you know, doing a 4-link and stuff like that, this would be our first one. We've done 2 other ones since then. Again, had some people come in and teach me how to do that. I didn't really know how to do that. I failed geometry when I was in high school. So gotta get somebody to double check my math on some of this stuff. But you know, this is the whole point. We pushed it. We did some things that are out of my comfort zone and certainly new to the kids. And this vehicle has been a launch pad for a lot of the other things that we do. And now like I said, we've built 2 other full 4-link suspensions and haven't had any help with it. You know, me and the kids did that. And so obviously we learned a lot along the ways. And one of those, I showed you a picture you had earlier on the screen of my home shop at my house, and that's got my 53 Buick in it. That Buick has a 4-link that we built here up at school underneath it. So pretty cool, you know, what we've learned over the years as well. So this vehicle and our Jeep, when they're done, the C10 here, both of these vehicles will be raffled off or auctioned off. We haven't really decided which route we're going to go, but those are going to be hopefully big money makers for our program. And then we're probably going to dial back the big builds for a while, because we've been grinding here for pert near a decade on some of that stuff. And like I said, my wife would like to see me more, I think, is probably the biggest push here. So
Can you show us the small engine area?
yeah, absolutely.
I got a question, Jay.
Sure,
While you're
Tim.
doing that, I don't know if I missed this because I came in late, but do you decide what day you're going to work on what car, or do you have multiple projects going on at the same time where you have kids working on, say, the C10 and kids working on the Jeep? You know, how does that work? How do you divide that?
Sure. So our classes are, quarter-based blocks. So I get about hour 20 minutes, 4 different classes in a day. I teach on a double overload, so I don't get a prep or a break or anything. I teach all day. I get a lunch, and that's it. We're just full to the brim here. So I'm out there grinding every day. And in each one of my classes, if we're doing like an Auto 1 class, as an example, they're doing basic maintenance and light repair on their own vehicles. And then if they have extra time, or if they need some, higher level learning, then they will work on one of our project vehicles. If I have something that correlates well to what we're doing on that particular day. When you get into like an auto body class, where we're doing collision repair, restoration, paint work, that sort of thing, then in those classes, typically one or more of our project vehicles are always in need of, that stage of the repair process. So I tell the kids all the time, in Freedom, we never stop sanding. We're always going to be sanding something. So, we could start, just like the Oldsmobile here, we could start sheet metal fabrication, rust repair, body work, primer work, any of that stuff at any time. And so a body class, could pick up one of our project vehicles at any stage. And the only trick to that is to line up, if we have an auto club after school night, I have to then, try to coordinate what we're doing on a school after school night to what's going on the next day in class, and that sort of thing. So certainly there's a lot of challenges to that, and it's not easy. And I pull my hair out doing that kind of stuff. But the hardest thing to do, I guess I would say it's a two-edged sword, I mean, you guys all know this. The hardest thing to do is keep the kids busy. They need to be doing something all the time. That's what we're here to do. We're learning. So they need to be doing, in my book, to be learning. So I've got to provide them with the work and the things to do, and at the same time, not overwhelm myself and drive myself crazy and really run out of space too. So anytime we're working on these project cars, just like I got the Jeep crammed in the booth right now, when we blow a car apart or two cars apart at once, I mean, we're tripping over that stuff. It's a fire hazard. So space is a premium, and small engines factors into that too. And so, right now I have 3 motorcycles, a dirt bike, and looks like a moped showed up over the summer. So, that stuff takes up, valuable educational space too. So I do try to prioritize our work based on the class that I have, that quarter, and then go from there on our auto club stuff, if that answers your question.
No, yeah, it does. I mean, you kind of have to have things in the wings so that when, there's nothing going on, you have something that they can do. And it's the same way in a wood shop.
Yes.
I'm always running into different projects, and I'm sure other guys are also aware. You got a kid, he's done everything he could possibly do because things are being clamped and dried or painted or whatever, and you don't want him to start the next project, but you need to keep him busy for 40 minutes.
Correct.
So there's always something in that pocket. And, and the unfortunate thing, sometimes it just ends up being, hey, can you sweep out this room? Or can you, go put this away? Or, here's some screws. Can you just sort these out? So,
yeah. Well, and I've had so many great kids over the years. I tell my dad all the time, boy, if I didn't have the kids I had the first, 2-3 years, I probably wouldn't still be teaching. I just had amazing kids early on, and I do still today. But it's always so great when you see those kids that will do those things, sometimes even without asking, but I try to explain to them it's like running a business that's not profitable. I mean, that's what we're doing here. We're going bankrupt, and who's supposed to sweep the floor in here? I'll ask those guys, do you expect me to sweep the floor? Did I make that body dust, or did you? Who's supposed to take the garbage out? You're the one that filled it full of paper toweling. How about you take it out?
Mm-hmm.
And so, we try to promote that type of thinking here where, we're all in this together, and, there's work to be done. Somebody's got to do it. And like I said, we're never done sanding. So I don't care if you're that top level kid that's taken every single one of my classes and, you can weld, you can paint, you can do all this stuff. Go sand that fender over there for the 5th time, because that's what needs to be done.
Yeah, totally. Got to keep people busy for sure.
Yep.
I do like little competitive projects. So is this the small engine area?
Yes.
Okay. I guess it's in storage or something, right?
Well, this is kind of where because we do work in this area, and then, we keep all of our small engines projects over there. And then I'll walk you over to my bins. So the engines, the Briggs & Stratton engines, live in these bins here.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I have a shop that requires everything to be locked up. So there's my little Briggs & Stratton here. So the way I do small engines is they have a tool kit. And so that toolkit, the 10 things that they need to take this engine apart, basically, right?
Yeah.
So their toolkit and their engine lives in their bin, and even when they are in the middle of the disassembly process, it all still fits in that bin. And so when these kids get these engines out, they'll spread out on the workbenches, on the tables, throughout the shop. It's really a complete disaster. I think every other school in the neighborhood probably has like a small engines lab. I don't have nothing nice like that. So we just have to survive. Yeah. Well, I like to tell everybody, if we had all that nice stuff, then nobody'd think we're poor and they wouldn't give us anything anymore. So we can't have nice things.
Yeah, no, this is great. You've made a fantastic use of the space. I have a low ceiling and I don't have a lift, but you got to make use of it. You get a scissor lift.
You got to see what I got going there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
this.
So we clear that truss by about 6 inches, and that's the only spot in the shop. And the hoist is not full height. It's only at 11.6 or something like that. That's the only spot in the shop it would fit. So.
And then you got a little welding booth right here.
Yeah, and we have, Miller Electric over the years. Like I said, literally, when I was growing up, half my friends' parents worked at Miller, and so we have a really good relationship with Miller. We've got some of these tables here from the local tech school, actually from Fox Valley Tech, but we have in our auto shop here 6 different welders. Here's a couple of them over here in the corner. 211s and 215s are what we use. So the 211 is a multi-process MIG welder, does MIG and stick and a couple other things. And then the 215 has TIG as well. So we have these 2 tables, kind of set up to be welding benches where they can do, stationary welding and actually practice welding. You can see here, if I can get it down, this type of welding here. This is a coupon that my kids work on. This is 18 gauge steel. So this is typical of what the one of the old ICAR welding certification tests was. So they've changed that test. They do a couple different ones now, but this is 18 gauge. They do an open butt joint, a butt joint with back, a plug weld, and then a lap weld there. So
Are these pulse welded, or is this just straight?
Nope, just straight MIG. We do have a pulse welder in the metal shop, but in the auto side we use just a straight MIG weld.
Okay, yeah, this is
a little
great.
bit of TIG.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's all you really need. I have a small area where I start the kids on stick. We actually start on spot welding. Actually, I should ask you: do you do spot welding as well?
We have one. I'll show you here in the metal shop. We have one old, foot pedal squeeze type spot welder. As far as the collision industry goes, in collision we do squeeze type resistance.
We might lose them.
I can go that far. Never mind. I'm losing you when I go that far.
Yeah. No problem.
You can see there's my.
There you go. That's it. That's what I have. That's the.
I was gonna try to give you a tour of the metal shop there, but I started losing my signal as soon as I got about halfway in. So
no problem. I do see you have the CNC plasma, which is probably kind of interesting.
Yeah. Oh man, we just got that. Again, I wrote a grant for that thing too. We got that up and running, I think last year, maybe 2 years ago, just to make cool stuff. I just wanted to make artsy stuff, signs and things like that. But, we also wanted to make and fabricate parts. We've made shock mount tabs and other types of bracketry and stuff like that too for our automotive program. So really cool tool.
This is great. I mean, you first of all, you got the energy. And I'm feeling the energy. And you got so many things going on. And you've got big projects, you're very practical as well as shooting for the moon. I just think this is super important. It's not easy to find a shop teacher like you, so
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like I even recently I have a friend, he calls himself Oz Star Cars. He's on YouTube, and we started talking, and I met him at SEMA as well. And he has 20 years experience with carpentry and home repair, but he also has automotive. He does it at home, and he's now thinking about switching careers and getting into teaching. So he called me and I said, look, first thing you got to do is watch the movie School of Rock. If you've ever seen this movie, that's what gave me the confidence and the energy to be a shop teacher.
That's cool.
Yeah, look, you're basically like the Jack Black of shop teachers. You're coming in there like, all right, dudes, we're going to build this thing. We're going to SEMA. Like, it's amazing, we're going to call this place. They're going to send us equipment, like, obviously you can't do this for every project, but it's this kind of teaching that is super rare, but I think is underrated. I don't think enough people realize how important that is. I'm sure you sparked so many careers. It's unbelievable. You know?
No, I appreciate that. And, you know, that's really what we all should strive to do. You know, when you talk about sparking careers, you know, in this town of 6,000, there are like 40 body shops. I'm not even kidding. You know, and those are all former students of my dad, you know, and I think that's such a testament to what he did in his tenure. And these are guys that are highly successful body shops too. I mean, they're not some backyard, backyard mechanic. I mean, these guys are doing restorations and doing high-end collision work. And, you know, it's awesome being 15 years in now. I'm starting to see, you know, my former students going out in the world and being successful. And obviously that's a great compliment to what we're doing, but it's really not about me. It's about, you know, the program and what we can provide. And so my educational philosophy, I still have it from college, the one that I wrote. It's in my filing cabinet, man, because I was right then and I'm right now, and I'm going to say it till I die. Life and high school is all about the experiences. You know, those kids don't remember what they did on day one or what was on page 15 in the math book, but they remember that after school night that they, you know, snapped off a spark plug and Mr. Abitz chewed them out for 20 minutes, you know, or whatever. They certainly remember that field trip. Remember that one time we went to Vegas, dudes? You know, they remember that stuff. And they remember those relationships and the cool things that we did. And again, the skills that they learned. I always tell the kids, I have a senior survival class that's like 80% girls, and we do some really basic auto stuff in there. And I tell those kids, you know, if you never work on another car again, you know, doing this body work, at least you learn how to sand drywall. You know, you can certainly fix some stuff. You can do some of the basic things. And that's really what I'm after. I don't really consider myself, you know, super vocational, like, oh, all my kids got to go into the trades and blah, blah, blah. They find their own path, but the experiences that we provide for them are what benefit them in the future. So that's really my focus is, and maybe, you know, sometimes I do think that can be a weak spot for me too. You know, could I do a better job, you know, sticking to some ASE standards and things like that? Sure. Absolutely. 100%. But again, not all my kids go into the automotive industry. So if I can provide an experience and make a memory, I think that's as formative as anything else.
Is a perfect transition. A lot of people are going to school now, like the summer's coming to an end. This is like a hype up session, and there's a great photo on Instagram that I found that you have. It's kind of like the ultimate shop teacher's high school photo. Like, look at this thing.
Oh yes, that's one of my favorite. That's actually my screensaver on my computer right here. I love that picture. My brother-in-law is a photographer and many other things on the side, and he comes to take the pictures of this bike that we built, and he's like, dude, let's roll this thing into the hallway. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do that. And we took these pictures by the locker, and like, this is obviously, you know, a Photoshop, you know, dark and light kind of thing. But he printed off like 50 of these pictures, man. And like, this is my go-to screensaver. I absolutely love how that looks.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Another one, someone's riding it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, nice.
That was on the way to the show that we raffled it. And actually, so we raffled it, made some money. And then the guy sold it to one of my former students, actually one of the kids that built the bike. So he's in the Air Force right now. He shipped it down to Georgia, and he's ripping it down there. So.
Oh, wow.
That thing's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, you know, that's what it's about. You know, you gotta spark the enthusiasm. Jeez.
Yeah, right there's proof. Like, classes like ours, the sky's the limit.
Yes.
You know, don't second guess yourself. You want to try it, you know, the kids will give you that confidence.
That's right.
Right there.
Yeah. That's an awesome bike. You know, and it's so funny because it's like, if you look at this, you're like, wow, like this is, you know, can you imagine if you, instead of the bike, there was a book sitting there?
Right. How many memories does that make?
Yeah, and I'm not against books. I read up books all the time, but it just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
You got it. I think the creativity is in the going from like, okay, this was maybe a stock bike into something more, and that's what gets those juices going. It's like a campfire. You got to light the fire little by little and build it up,
Yeah.
And
Our hashtag there, built by high school kids. That's our hashtag. And so we hashtag a lot of our stuff with that. And it's the honest truth. I tell the kids all the time, if I pick up a tool, if I'm working, it's because I'm bored, or the flip side, because I just really freaking want to do it. Our kids do all of this work. They're sanding, they're painting, they're welding, they're grinding. And, when we have, Dave Byron there teaching them how to do the sheet metal stuff, he shows them and then they do it. There is real, genuine learning taking place here. And all of these projects are just the end result. They're the byproduct, man. And, when I say that's built by high school kids, I mean that. And we're so blessed. We have alumni that come back. Kids that, guys that graduated that are older than I am that come back and help us, and kids that I had as former students that have come back and they might come in, once a month or once a year or every week. And then they bring back to the program what they've learned in the real world. I have kids that go out and work in the industry, and then they come back and guess what? They know more about cars than I do. So there's a picture of one of the kids in there, Brian and his family. I had all three of his brothers, and they're electricians by trade. Dad owns the business, and all three of the boys are electricians. Brian's my electrical guy. He was my electrical guy when he was a freshman in high school. He knows more about electricity than I do. So when we wired the 51 Chevy, when we, put wiring harnesses in a bunch of other cars, I just kind of turned it over to him and said, "Hey, Bri guy, go do your thing, man." And he didn't ask me any questions. I can tell you that.
Yeah, this is cool. And also to speak to the whole, trades versus college. And, I say this all the time, probably every podcast, but, I got, friends that have kids and they ask questions, or like my best example is I had a kid come to me and he says, "I'm sorry, Mr. G, I can't take your class. I'm going to be a doctor. So, I don't need your class." And I was like, "Oh, you're going to be a doctor. Okay. So let me get this straight. When you go into the hospital or go into surgery or anything like that, is it like a barn with hay on the floor?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, what's in the room with you? Is it just walls, or is it like totally empty? And he's like, "No." I'm like, "What's in there? Is it robots, machines, technology?"
Yes.
I'm like, why not learn how to use all that stuff here for free?
Yes.
While you got the chance. So think about the Da Vinci robot that does the surgery, like very minimal evasive surgery, and also we're going to Mars soon with all these space travel vehicles. So, it seems silly now to even say this, like, oh, we're going to Mars. They're going to need welders. They're going to need people that understand how rocketry works. They're going to need all these chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, and they're going to need all this stuff. And it doesn't have to be just somebody turning a wrench. It could be way more than that. But you start here. Like, I got a friend who, just to give you one more example, and it's not just for you, but for everybody, is I got a friend who started, he never went to college. He started out, working on cars, putting twin turbos on Lamborghinis, for high profile clients, because he could really weld very well and he understood how the systems worked. And then from there went into manufacturing. He ended up working in like super high paced manufacturing. He's got his own company where he designs the machine that makes the machine. So the sky's not, as you said, the sky's the limit, but the sky's not even the limit. We're doing such amazing things, and to use your hands to do something three-dimensional is such an important thing. Anyway, I'm preaching to the choir here.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to, believing in teaching through experiences, but, these kids, learning how to use hand tools and identify tools and just, basic safety and things like that. Obviously that benefits them anywhere in life that they go. But, so much of what the kids need today is that hands-on application. And like you said, a doctor or a surgeon, come on, you're working with your hands or you're working with that robot. And so the application is so key. Like you say, we're lacking that in so many other areas in the school building. Real world application to what it is that we're doing. That's something that I think, all of us in the career technical education realm, we do that really well. And so that's really what I try to focus on too.
I got a question. Wait, we're going to go around the room, ask if anybody's got questions or whatever, but I got a question about paint. I don't know anything about paint. Do you spend obviously spend a lot of time on it, but how do you handle that? How do you get started? Do you get into maybe paint samples, or how do you teach them about mixing and proportioning and thinning and stuff like that?
We the first step in paint is the prep. So we want to teach them to prep a surface, which basically means to clean it and abrade it in some fashion, because adhesion and having a clean prepped surface is really the first step to success. So we talk a lot about prep, and I actually just stick them right into it. They take a fender and they prep that fender for paint, and then we stick those fenders in the booth. And, I might, paint a panel or something to show them some basic setup and how to make a pass. But literally I will hand them the gun within 2 minutes of them walking into the booth, and they just kind of have to figure it out for themselves a little bit, which again, I'm a big fan of that kind of teaching too. I don't want to do it for them. I don't want to show them 50 times. I just want them to do it and figure it out, and I'll meet you somewhere in the middle. But a lot of kids have a natural ability, to see it, to lay it out, the physical eye-hand coordination. And some kids just stick that paint gun up against the panel and blow the paint right off. And okay, you're probably not going to be much of a painter. And some kids, it's funny when you do restoration or body work, some kids really like welding or grinding. Some kids really like doing the mechanical work. Some kids really like painting. And some kids really hate each other step of that, oh, I don't want to do that paint stuff. That's too meticulous or whatever. So I really try to expose all of them to the basics. And then the kids that really latch onto it, it seems like I'll always have, 1 or 2 or 3 kids, at a time, either, they might be juniors or seniors or whatever. But we have 1 kid or 2 kids that are, the certified painters that will paint our, our show cars and things like that. And then they're always training somebody else. That green Sportster, our favorite hallway picture there, that was painted by a freshman, and that was the first thing that he painted. Wow. One of the seniors took him, it was Bry Guy, took him under his wing and said, "Hey man, I'm graduating. You better figure out how to do this." And, and again, I didn't teach him. I didn't show him. That was another classmate, taking the reins and going, "Listen, man, this is how I did it. This is how you're going to do it."
Nice. What now? How many classes do you have, and how long do you have them for?
So they're quarter classes, which is 9 weeks. I have 4 classes a day, about 1 hour and 20 minutes per class. And we have 2 auto classes, like auto mechanics, 2 auto body classes, an advanced senior auto class where they really just do everything, which is really a very project-based class. And then I teach an intro level, freshman class where I actually do a little bit of woods, a little bit of metal, a little bit of auto mechanics, a little bit of everything. And then the small engines class as well.
Nice. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you have a lot. You do a lot,
my plate is full. My dad, for 35 years was just an auto teacher. He didn't really have to do any of the other stuff. But the times have changed, the requirements have changed, and so I've learned to adapt and do other things. I mean, when I was in college and they were talking about laser engravers and engineering and stuff, I was like, "Oh no, man, I'm never going to do any of that stuff. I'm a car guy. I do car stuff." And I also said, I scoffed at the guy when he told me I was going to write grants. I was like, "Oh, that's dumb. I'm never going to do that." Turns out that's literally what I do for a living. So
That's so funny.
guess they're right about that.
Do you
Dude,
have
what
a
do you
laser
think, man?
engraver? Do you have a laser engraver?
We do. We have one laser engraver and 2 3D printers, and we're looking to add a couple more of each. Again, budgets, like I'm sure you guys experience, our budgets are pretty much non-existent for buying new equipment. So we got to raise the money and kind of do that. So
How about powder coating? You get into powder coating at all?
I go back and forth on that. We have a small oven. We could powder coat some small stuff. I have a couple guys local that will do powder coat for us. So things that I need powder coated, I farm out to them, and they don't even charge us. They're such good dudes. If I had the space, I would put a decent sized powder coating booth in. If I ever get an addition, if they ever let me add on to this place, I would have a walk-in, probably like 5x8 kind of thing, where we could do wheels and some bigger parts and racks, stuff like that. Because obviously it would fit in great to the things that we do. I do some powder coat at home. I have a small oven. I'm a golf guy. Actually, I worked in the golf industry for 13 years. So I tell the kids I know more about golf than I know about cars. But I do a little bit of, I like to play around with like golf club restoration and things like that. So do a little bit of powder coat, a little bit of anodization and things like that at home. So love powder coat. Don't really have room for it here.
Wow.
Now, do they schedule your classes based on the available usage of the outside or exterior of the building? Like, do you have certain classes that will always run in, say, December or that second quarter versus ones that will run at the end of the year where it's warmer outside?
Yeah,
it's cold. So
yeah, no, we go pretty much, year round on that stuff. I do. I'm blessed. My administration and guidance department work really well with me. I'm absolutely blessed in that fashion. They basically let me put the courses in the order that I want to put them in. Part of that reason is to make sure that our 3 shops are available when they need to be, because obviously we overlap on some of the things that we do, and obviously we share students as well. So part of that structure and how we run our courses is based on shop space and availability. But I do, seasonal wise, I do schedule my auto classes to make sure I always have an auto class every quarter, so that we can always be working on our projects. If I had a quarter off where we weren't working on a car, that stuff would never get done, So I do run it that way. And then I do also make sure that I always have a collision class in the spring, because that's where my SkillsUSA competition comes in. And so I want to have those kids working on those skills, welding, body, paint repair, that kind of stuff, when that competition comes up in May and June. So I always want to have that in the spring.
yeah, I just didn't know about getting outside using, local parking spaces and things like that.
Yeah, they kind of ban us from the outside. So I get yelled at all the time for leaving stuff outside, and I have a little itty bitty little storage cubby that, just looks like a scrapyard. I get yelled at for that all the time, but I just ignore it.
Yeah, I know. When I taught small engines, I always had to jockey around, running the engines, on certain days and different semesters. It was always better to have it the second semester.
Yeah, this place is like the world's biggest jigsaw puzzle, and thank goodness the fire department likes me, because like we're in violation probably every other day with just way too much crap and way not enough space and outside storage, and the list goes on. So yeah, I feel you there for sure.
Cool. Do you want to? Anybody can jump in, but I have this photo you sent me of your. Is this your car?
Yeah. So that's my home shop. I got a, what is that, 40 by 50 or so. It's just on my property, just outside my house there. I actually talk about nepotism. I took my dad's job and I bought his house too. I made him move. So I always wanted a shop at home. I couldn't imagine, not having a shop and having a place to work and just, hang out and do cool stuff. So That's my shop space at home, and I'll do full, everything I do at school, I do at home too. So sometimes my projects come to school, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll come back and forth and things like that. So this happens to be my 53 Buick, and we did a lot of that stuff at school, and then it actually was just about finished when COVID hit. So I hauled it to my buddy's shop down the street. He actually runs a repair business, van sales and service, former student of my dad, and his son, former student of my dad and classmate of mine. They basically rented me a stall. I'm like, hey guys, can I just hang out with you for 3 months and build some cool stuff? So those guys are great. They're like my industry reps. They help us, in jams when my dad likes to say, when you run out of talent. I run out of talent all the time. So you got to phone a friend. Van sales and service is like the first guys that we call. So I actually took the car over there for 3 months and basically worked for them during the Rona shutdown. But I didn't work good enough to earn a paycheck. They did not pay me. So, but yeah. And then, so at home there, we do some stuff, work on our own vehicles. And my wife actually owns a boutique, and I built a mobile boutique for her out of a giant UPS truck. I did that at home in my home shop. And that's a Google pretty pink fashion boutique. That'll blow your mind.
Well, I think I saw it on your Instagram, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you probably did. Yep.
This is crazy. That's so cool. Wait, you know what? I'll go from yours. Let me see. Here we go. And I saw it right here.
Yeah, we're still working with Ron.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
I can't spell. I'm horrible. No, I can spell. I can't spell on the fly. I tell kids all the time, I'm like, yo, I'm not your English teacher.
My handwriting's terrible. Yeah, can't read it.
Yeah, mine
This
too.
is so cool. Look at
Yeah.
this.
My wife was a nurse, and when we had our third son, my kids are 9, 7, and 5, and when we had our third kid, long story short, she retired and started selling clothes and started her own business, and we bought that truck. I don't know, maybe a year or so later, and I spent an entire winter. Repurposing it, and it's basically like a walk-in closet. There's changing rooms and clothing displayed inside there and for sale. And so she drives it all over the place to all these outdoor markets and festivals. And you can see that little picture of her shop there. We added on to my shop at home. She's now got a 20 by 50 edition that serves as our storefront for that business. So
This is great. You guys
Yeah,
are
she's
very
world class.
crafty.
she's I'm so proud of her. She's such an entrepreneur. Just made that thing her own, and she's killing it in the game, man. She's awesome. She's everything she touches is gold. It's awesome.
I like these hats. What is that logo?
That's the state of Wisconsin.
Oh, I went to I'm like, what is that? A mitten? What is that? What the hell
Just
is
nice
that?
and cheese.
We're also still working on his geography too. He can't spell or locate states.
But he'll fly there anytime he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, there she is.
That's amazing.
He'll go to California. He knows California and he knows New Jersey.
Yeah,
Those
that's
are the only
pretty
two he
much
knows.
it. That is the extent of it.
Everything in the middle he doesn't know. So
I don't know what's going on. This is fantastic, man. What a cool collaboration.
but when,
Absolutely.
anytime we can, we could, rub down Ron and give him a hard time. It's fun.
No, you have to. We're from Jersey. This is not. I don't feel comfortable unless someone's busting my chops. No, this is really cool, man. And look at this. Yeah, this is serious. Look at this. Look at this whole website here.
Absolutely.
Nice. That's great, man. That is great.
You need a CDL to drive that?
We do not. So I would be eager to get one, but we do not need one. So
It doesn't have air brakes?
nope. That's on a F-350 chassis. So drum brakes and
Really?
I think it's a 95. I think it's a 1995 if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yep.
Is it gas or diesel?
It's gas.
Gotcha. I bought a school bus. I bought a school bus once, like a short bus, and a diesel, and I bought it from Brooklyn, and we converted it to a camper, and I drove it across the country.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. These buses, these machines, these are like great platforms.
Oh yeah.
The floor is flat, and you could do anything with that.
Yeah, this one's got the sliding doors too, so you just open the doors, man. You know, wind in the hair, and just live it.
That's awesome. Cool.
It's always a good feeling went through my hair, right, Duke?
This is good. Yeah, that's great. So, yeah, man, you guys are, this is the thing. You're super creative, and you're passing that on to the kids and the students. This is just awesome. Excellent, man. God, I had another question I forgot. I don't know. Anybody can jump in there. I mean, we'll pretty much wrap it up soon. I really appreciate, your time. It's a long tour. Oh my God, look at Duke. Wait, you're muted, Duke. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
I got one last question for that pencil neck geek Zavaki. What do you think about going on the Shop Class podcast wearing a Hulkamania t-shirt, brother?
That's what I had on today when I went to the ice cream place.
Jay, you did a nice job. Zavaki, I don't know what's going on with that t-shirt.
We all can't be you, Duke. We all can't be you.
Duke, brought out. Who is that? What character is that? That's Macho Man. Macho
That's
Man.
Hogan,
Rex.
NWO Hogan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Should I rip the shirt like he did?
Zavaki got the good one. I got the bad one, minus the beard.
This is the best Shop Class ending we've ever had. No, last week was pretty funny. Our guest was right in the middle of telling us like the key to life, and he's like, when you, and then his phone went dead.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I was dying.
Let me break out the whale again. Hold on.
Oh, geez. No, that was the best one. We won't even go there. Oh, my God. Tim was showing some wood polished objects that looked funny, and I don't know what happened to me.
They look very phallic to Ron.
I started dying. I couldn't take it. I was crying. I was laughing so hard. Yo, Duke looks great. Look at him.
Now that's a screensaver.
You can end the show right here. Jay, you did a great job.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Check in next week at the Shop Class podcast.
All right.
What we should do next time is we should have like theme nights. Like everybody has to wear something and then have a theme. It's hard enough to get people to come in. Now, can we get people to have a theme? So we could add wrestling theme tonight.
Yeah, I would totally do that. We should do wrestling.
No, it was really funny how I got the Hulkamania shirt. It was one of those things I was watching. Something was on TV, and I said, "Oh, Hulkamania shirt. I want one of them." And so I went on Amazon and I bought it.
Yeah, I wanted a Rowdy Roddy Piper shirt. I couldn't find it.
So it ended up being one of those. I'm like, oh, I've always wanted a Hulkamania shirt, so I found it and I bought it.
Duke went and dressed up. Oh my God. All right, we're going to end it right there. Shop Class Podcast every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. You want to be a guest, get in touch. Mr. G's Workshop, Shop Class Podcast, Instagram. All right, thanks a lot. See you soon.
Thank you, guys. I enjoyed it.